Okay, so we're going to go graphing linear relations using a table of values. So below we already have everything set up. They've given us the linear relation, which is right here. Okay, it says 2x minus 2y is equal to 14. Okay. This table of values, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be plugging in either x values or y values and solving for the other variable. So this is actually probably one of the longest ways to go about doing it, but it is a way to solve it. We have our graph here. Now, hopefully our graph is in the range where the line will show up on here, because it completely depends. I could have a line that potentially is way above this graph. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start plugging in values and then try to figure out what the pattern of this is going to be. So we're going to take this equation, and I'm going to start with x at, I could always start from the negatives and go to the positives. It's completely up to you. We're trying to find numbers that are going to show up on this graph. Normally you start maybe a little left of x when it's 0 and move to a little bit to the right. So an example of that would be something like -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Right? All consistent, increasing by 1. But you can essentially pick any numbers you want. You just have to graph it after. And we try to get it on a graph. Since this one's provided to us, we're going to try to go with numbers that are between -10 and +10. You see that? Okay, so since the graph on the x values is -10 and +10, we're going to go between those and see if we can get our line. We could also do vice versa. We could put values in for y. Same idea, maybe -2, -1, 0. Oh, that does that. 1 and 2. Right? Either one works, but then we're working with the y-axis, which is a little different. I know you guys are probably a little more familiar working with the x, so we'll do that. And we'll start with -2. So when x is -2, we need to plug it into this equation. Now many times, and we're going to get to this in the next style of graphing, we always want to set it equal to y. But when making a table of values, we actually don't have to rearrange this equation until the end, essentially. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and when x is -2, so when x equals -2, we take this equation 2 multiplied by -2, so we went over that yesterday, plugging in values for variables, minus 2y is equal to 14. Our goal is to now isolate y. We need to find out what the y value is when x is -2. So we're going to work through this. This becomes -4 minus 2y equals 14. -2y is equal to 14 plus 4. Y is equal to 18 divided by -2. Y equals -9. Okay, so luckily that fit on our chart. So when we go down here, x was -2, y was -1, so that is one of the points on our line. Okay, I'll put it here. This is one of our coordinates. So with our table of values, the way we fill out this chart is when x is -2, y is -9. We continue this process, so we'll do another one. -1, same idea, same equation. When x is equal to -1, we get 2 times, this is the x value, -1, minus 2y is equal to 14. Okay? Same idea, this becomes -2 minus 2y equals 14. I'm going to pick up the speed a little since you guys have seen what we're doing. Okay? When I bring the 2 over, it's going to become +2, so this becomes 16, -2y, y is equal to -8. Okay? So that's our next value, at -1 and -8. I'm going to move this over just a little, so that's good. And then, next one along the line is x when it's 0. So we'll go down here. 2 multiplied by 0. This one's going to be a lot easier to solve. Okay. 2 times 0 is 0, so we're going to get -2y is equal to 14. Y is going to be equal to what? -7. Good. Okay. Now, that's when x is at 0. Okay? So we have x at -2, x at -1, x at 0. 0, and of course we're going with 1 and 2, and here we're at -7. Now what I want you guys to look at, we can continue with this pattern, nothing wrong with that at all. But there's another way to tell if something's linear. Anyone know? once you have these table values,
By subtracting x and y.
yeah, we're finding the first differences, it's called. Okay? So first differences is when we're looking for the difference between our y values, assuming x changes by the same amount. So in this one, x is changing by the same amount. It's going up by 1, up by 1, up by 1, up by 1. So that means it's good, it's consistent. We can use this method. We're going to find out what y is changing by. And what happens with y? It's doing the exact same thing. It's going up by 1. So what can we guess what the next one's going to be? Not 8. Good. And then the next one? And that's exactly what it is. Okay. Once you have a little bit of information, see if you can work this out just by finding the first differences. That way we don't have to plug it into the equation every single time. Okay? So let's take a look at the overall page. So since we have that, we know we're at -6 and then -5. We're going to go and draw our line here. And it looks something like that. Okay? So there's the graph of our line using our table of values.